At the edge of the village of Mossybell, beside the deep green Greenwhisper Forest of Europe, an ant colony lived beneath an ancient oak tree. In that colony, the smallest ant was named Pip. Pip was so tiny that many other ants thought he was only suited for trivial tasks. But Pip was not sad. Every day he worked quietly, carrying each crumb of food and repairing each small passage in the nest. Pip believed that no matter how small one was, if one worked with a whole heart, it still had value. To him, Greenwhisper Forest was not just a place to gather food, but a home, a memory, and the future of the entire ant colony. One summer noon, while Pip was dragging a barley grain nearly as large as his whole body back to the nest, he heard a weak cry coming from a thorny bush at the edge of the forest. Pip stopped. Among the sharp thorns, a blue bird named Lumi was trapped. Its wing feathers disheveled, its eyes filled with pain and fear. Though he knew he was very small and the thorns were very sharp, Pip still climbed up. Each thorn was removed slowly. The thorns pierced painfully. But Pip did not give up. At last, Lumi was free. Before flying away, the bird bowed in gratitude and promised never to forget Pip's kindness. A few weeks after the encounter with Lumi, the peaceful life beneath the ancient oak tree was suddenly shaken. One morning, while the mist had not yet lifted, the Lord of Mossybell's worker appeared at the edge of Greenwhisper Forest. They carried axes, saws, and thick coils of rope. A new road needed to be opened through the forest, and the oak tree where the ants lived stood directly in the middle of that path. Bad news spread quickly through the ant nest. The once busy tunnels fell into chaos. Worker ants ran back and forth. Soldier ants stood guard in anxiety. Everyone understood that if the oak tree were cut down, their home of many generations would disappear in a single day. Amid the panic, Queen Bella summoned the entire colony. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were full of concern. She had just laid thousands of fragile eggs, stored deep within the earth. Those eggs were so delicate that they could not be moved hastily. If they left immediately, the eggs would not survive. After a heavy silence, Queen Bella made a decision that left the whole colony frozen. She asked the ants to leave the nest to save themselves, while she would stay behind with the eggs. To her, a queen ant existed, not to live long, but to protect the next generation. Pip stood still. His heart beat fast. He understood that, without a miracle, that sacrifice would be forever. While the colony was still arguing in fear, Pip quietly withdrew to a dark corner of the tunnel. His heart pounded, not from fear for himself, but from thinking of Queen Bella and the fragile eggs. Suddenly, in Pip's mind appeared Lumi's blue wings and the promise from that day. Without hesitating another second, Pip rushed out of the nest, running with all his strength toward the edge of Greenwhisper Forest. He lifted his head to the sky, turning the color of dusk, and called his bird friend's name. With all his tiny breath, the weak call echoed many times, seeming to fade into the wind. But then, a blue shadow swept across the treetops. Lumi had come. After listening to Pip tell the whole story, Lumi fell silent for a moment. His gaze became solemn. Lumi understood that he could not stand against humans alone. But friendship never stands alone. The bird shot upward, disappearing into the deep forest. Pip waited in anxiety. As night was about to close in, the sky suddenly filled with the sound of rapid wings. Not just one, but hundreds of birds from across the forest flew in. Hope, for the first time, truly took shape. When the sun had just risen, the flock of birds swooped down over Greenwhisper Forest, circling and causing a commotion around the workers. Before that strange sight, an elder of Mossybell village spoke up and advised that the ancient oak tree be preserved, for it was the home of countless creatures. In the end, the road was rerouted. The oak tree was protected. Beneath the ground, Queen Bella and the eggs were safe. The entire ant colony burst into joy. Pip was called before everyone, not to receive a reward, but to be remembered. From then on, the story of the little ant was told again and again, as a reminder that kindness, no matter how small, can change an entire destiny.